Hello and welcome back to Momocuri, the creative project where you've been learning how to compose your own music, tell your own story and block code your very own RPG role-playing video game. I'm Miss Laura and this is the final of 3 videos that are to do with telling the story. So far, we have been through the beginning and the middle of a story I love from ancient Japan called Adachigahara. We have followed the hero, Yuke, from his home all the way up north to the haunted plain of Adachigahara. And then, from that haunted plain, we followed him into a strange house, occupied by a strange old lady who may be more than meets the eye. And that is where the end of our story begins. And that's what I'm going to tell you now. The old lady said, "You may look around wherever you want, but do not open that door over there." Yuke had never noticed that door over there before, but now he had. Well, he promised, of course, I'll just sit here while you go out and get wood. Good. The old lady left the house, into the storm and into the dark outside, leaving Yuke alone in that house, on that plain. And now he'd heard about the door, he couldn't help but look at it. And the more he looked at it, the more he wondered what was behind it. And the more he wondered what was behind it, the more that door seemed like a magnet to him. And soon he found himself standing right in front of that door with his hand on the doorknob. He said to himself, well, perhaps there's something behind it that I need to know. Perhaps there's someone behind it I need to save. I should really look behind that door, even though the old lady told me not to. And that was all he needed to tell himself, to open that door, turn the handle, pulled the door, and oh no! Out of the door tumbled skulls and bones and human remains until they were surrounding Yuke. He looked down. He wondered how he was going to get all of those things back into that door before the old lady came back. But then he heard the door opening behind him into the house, and he knew it was too late. He turned round and he saw the old lady begin to transform. "I told you not to open that door," she said. And as she said it, she grew taller and bigger, and her old lady cloak skin fell off her, and underneath there was a strong demoness, an Onibaba. Her horns sprung out of her head, and she went for Yuke. Yuke jumped back. He ran round her and he ran out of the house, and he started to run out into the cold, out into the dark, out into the rain as fast as he could, but he could hear that she was following. She was following, and it didn't seem like she was going very fast, but she was catching up with him. She was catching up with him. And then Yuke remembered, I've left all of my medicinal herbs and all of my magic back in the house. What am I going to do? There's nothing I can do. And so Yuke stopped out on that haunted plain, and he waited for the demoness, the Onibaba, to catch up with him. And when she did, just as she was about to grab him, he did the only thing he could do. He prayed. He prayed as hard as he could, like the monks back at home had told him how to do. He prayed to the north, the south, the east and the west. He prayed so hard he couldn't pray anymore, and he opened his eyes. And the Onibaba had been pushed back, as if by a force field. So he prayed even harder. And the harder he prayed, the further back Onibaba went. And further back until, poof, she disappeared. And Yuke was there, alone on the plain of Adachigahara. No demon. He'd won. Yuke ran back to the house, which was now empty except for the mess that he had made from behind the door, and he got his herbs. And he turned around and he left that place as fast as he could. And he went home as fast as he could. And after that long journey was done and he arrived back in the monastery that he called home, back in that other part of Japan, he was welcomed with open arms by his brothers, the monks, now that he was one of them. He had the powers to heal the sick. And because he'd been in danger, he knew that he also had the powers to defeat evil spirits and demons. The abbot opened his arms and gave Yuke an embrace that he would never forget. And he said, "I knew you had it in you, my boy. You are a good boy. And now you have the powers to prove it. Welcome home." And so it was. Yuke lived a quiet and happy life in that monastery with his brothers, the monks, in that temple. Until one day, word came from a different part of Japan that there was a bridge that was haunted by a demoness. Was there anyone who could help? Well, Yuke heard that call. But whether he answered it or not is another story. And so we come to the ending of the story of Adachigahara, a story I love from ancient Japan, a story on which I have based my very own RPG role-playing video game. But now I've told you my ending, it's time for you to come up with your own. And that is what we're going to do next. We better get started. So here we are at the ending of our story. Get a notepad ready because you're going to need to use your imagination and make some notes. Let's get started. So the first thing that you need to think about when you come to an ending is all to do with your hero, your main character. You must ask yourself, first, did your hero get what they wanted? If that's a yes, then it's likely to be a happy ending. And if it's a no, it's likely to be a sad or at least more problematic ending. And knowing what kind of ending you're making is very important. Second, did your hero defeat the villain or didn't they? Yuke, in my story, he defeated the villain, and so that was a happy ending. But perhaps your ending is more complicated than that. It's important to decide these things. And third, did your hero learn something on their journey? And if so, what was it? The thing they learnt is really the meaning of the story. And so if you can decide those three things, then you have the recipe for the ending of your story. So that's your first task. Pause this video and think about those three questions, come up with some answers, and come back when you're done. So now you've decided what kind of ending you want, we've got to get into creating that ending. And so what else do you need? Well, at the beginning of your ending, the hero is in trouble. And the thing you have to decide is, what kind of trouble are they in? And how do they get out of it? In my story, Yuke was trapped in a house with a demon. But perhaps your hero is being chased. Perhaps there's a ticking bomb about to go off. Kind of trouble. And how do they get out of that trouble? Perhaps they need to escape. Perhaps they need to have a battle. perhaps solve a puzzle. So this is task 2. Think about your ending in particular. Think about the beginning of your ending. What kind of trouble is your hero in, and how do they mean to get themselves out of that trouble? Pause the video, come back when you've thought of some ideas. Well done and welcome back. And now you've decided what kind of trouble your hero is in. Now it's time for the exciting bit. And because we're making a game, we've got to think, haven't we, about the game mechanic. And in this case, and as in most cases in RPG role-playing video games, the game mechanic is some kind of a battle. It allows your player to join in with the fun and get that hero out of trouble. But it's up to you to decide what kind of battle that is. Is it a battle between the villain and the hero? Is it using weapons? Is it a battle of weapons? Or perhaps it's a battle of words. Perhaps, like in UK's adventure, it is a battle of magical powers. You are the only one who can decide that for your story. So your next task is to decide what kind of battle would best suit your story. Pause the video, come back when you're done. Now that you have decided what kind of battle you want to have, now it's time to get into the details of the battle. One of the best ways to make your battle more exciting is to add a twist. A twist is when it seems like the hero's going to lose. Something happens to make it seem like the hero's going to lose, but actually they win. And the way to construct a twist is by choosing a surprise final challenge and then choosing a surprising solution to that challenge. So in UK's adventure, the surprise final challenge was that UK left all of his magical herbs in the house when he ran away from the demoness. But the surprising solution was he didn't actually need it in the first place. What about you? What about your ending? Is there a twist that you could get into the battle to make it more exciting? That's your next task. Pause the video and come back when you've thought of some ideas. So now, at the end of our story, we know what happens to our hero, and we know what trouble they're in, how they're going to get out. We also know what kind of a climax is going to suit our story. So now it's time to bring everything together. And to make a great resolution, you're going to ask these 2 questions. Where does your hero return to? And what is their reward? UK went back home, as so many heroes do. That's a great choice of somewhere to go, but it's not the only choice by any means. And UK's reward was the respect of his elders, being welcomed into the order of monks that he always wanted to be part of. But how about you? What would be a great reward for your hero? Have a think about that. And the final thing you might want to think about, after you've resolved everything, after your hero has come home, is whether you want everything to end there after all, or in fact, is your ending actually a beginning of something else? And to create an open ending is easy. All you have to do is ask yourself this one question, and that is, what new problem would coax your hero into a new adventure? Once you've answered that, you have both an ending and the opportunity for a new beginning. So now you have a beginning, you have a middle, you have an ending for the story that will make your game your game. And that is the end of this video, and that is the end of this series of videos. My name's Miss Laura. Thank you so much for coming on this journey with me and with this course. I hope you'll join us for other courses in the future. And in the meantime, have fun, make mistakes, learn from them, and stay curious.